Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians, May 16, 2025 Board Meeting. This meeting is taking place at the Department of Consumer Affairs Hearing Room located at 1625 North Market Boulevard, Sacramento, California. My name is Carol Mountain, and I'm the Board President. I would like to call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. First, some housekeeping information on how this meeting will be conducted. This meeting is being held in person and virtually via WebEx. If we need a motion, I will call for a motion, a second, and open for public comment prior to taking a roll call vote for each motion. Members, for the record, please state your name prior to making your motion or when seconding a motion. We will take public comment on each agenda item. Members of the public who request to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak, and you will be notified when you have 30 seconds remaining. Your name is not necessary, but please indicate how you would like us to identify you. For the sake of efficiency, the executive officer may respond directly to public comment or defer to the appropriate staff person or counsel as appropriate. For any questions directed to board members, I will either answer the question or direct it to board members as appropriate. We will now do an alphabetical roll call to establish quorum. Board members, when your name is called, please introduce yourself and give a brief description of your role with the board. Alita Carpenter.
Yes, Alita Carpenter, public member, gubernatorial appointee.
John Deerking.
Good morning, John Deerking, Senate appointee.
Gloria Gregoria Guzman.
Gloria Guzman, LVN governor appointed.
Ken Maxey.
Ken Maxey, Assembly appointee.
Leslie Moore.
Leslie Moore, Governor appointee, PT.
Nellie Neeblis. Are you online, Ms. Neeblis?
This is the moderator. She has not yet signed in.
Thank you. Rashima Sansan.
Good morning, Rashima Sonson, Public Member, Governor appointee.
And I'm Carol Mountain. Based on the roll call, we have a quorum. We will now move to agenda item 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Deerking, will you please lead us?
Thank you, Madam President. Please join me in the pledge to our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will now move on to agenda item 3, introduction of board staff and council. Ms. Yamaguchi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sacramento. With us today, our staff members, our AEO, Mark Ito, from Enforcement, Antoinette Wood, Jay Prouty, Rachel Vieira, Brittany Hudson, and Siobhan Williams. From Licensing, we've got Shelley Brown, Mike Hall, Corey Trimble. And by the way, I will apologize because apparently I need better glasses because people need to sit up closer. Our Supervising Special Investigator, Stacy Higashi, our Education Unit, Dr. Judith McLeod, and the whole lot of them. Roberta Thompson, Faye Silverman, Jessica Gomez, Cindy Fairchild, Tara Davila, and our newest NEC, Clarissa Swanson. Also our education analysts, Nicholas Gonzalez and Geraldine Marcino. Our mighty admin staff, our manager, Jeff Weiler, and our indispensable analyst, Nikki Brady. And did I see Liz here today? Okay. And if I could indulge we do have a recent appointee who has not yet been sworn in, but our new second LVN member is Mr. Johnny Russell. Hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have all the paperwork done. Madam Chair, and council, of course.
Good morning, Ileana Butu, Board Counsel.
Thank you. We will now move to agenda item 4, acceptance of the minutes from the February 7, 2025 board meeting. We have minutes from our board meeting on February 7, 2025 to approve. These are included in your packet and posted online. The link to the YouTube video of the February 7, 2025 board meeting is printed in the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve and a second for the February 7, 2025 minutes?
If there are no errors or omissions, I would move the minutes of the February 7th meeting.
Thank you. Second?
Alita Carpenter, second.
Thank you. Any board discussion or questions about those minutes? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 4, please raise your hand. You can simply click on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, press *3, and we will give you a moment. All right, this is the moderator. I see no request for comment at this time. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. At this time, I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Durking,
Yes.
Ms. Guzman,
Yes.
Mr. Maxey,
Yes.
Ms. Moore.
Yes.
I don't think Ms. Neblas is online yet.
Yes.
Ms. Sanson,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. That carries with the motion to approve the February 7, 2025 minutes is carried by a vote of 7. We will now move on to agenda item 5, fiscal and budgets update. Fund condition and budget updates. Mr. Ito.
Good morning, board members. This is Mark Ito, the Assistant Executive Officer for the board. In front of you, you have three forms here. The first one is the expenditure projections. We also have the revenue projections, and then we have the board's fund condition. I'll go over the expenditure projections first. So with the expenditure projections, we have a budget of 17.86 million. It was 18.315. However, due to the two executive orders, one was the budget reduction and the other was the vacancy reduction, that lowered our budget $455,000. We've been working hard to find savings in our budget due to that, and our end reversion is going to be approximately $187,000 for this fiscal year as of fiscal month 9, which is through March 31st. I will say, I came from the budget office. I was a budget manager there, and I've typically been pretty hands-on with the budget. However, with the addition of Jeff Weiler and Nikki Brady, I've been able to kind of stand back. They've been really helpful. They've been working with the budget office, who's also been great, just to make sure that we spend within our budget. With these reductions and our increased expenditures, we definitely had to take a real close look this year, find savings. And I will say the board, in consultation with the budget office, we've done I'd say a good job with it. And even come next year, we're going to have to take a real close look at the budget and find savings and be a little more conservative moving forward. So that's the expenditure projections. We also have our revenue projections, where if you look historically, our revenue is a lot higher than it has been because of our fee increase we had a couple years back. Our projection for our revenue for this fiscal year is $26.7 million, which is very good. I know at some point we're going to look into doing a fee audit to take another look at our fees, just to make sure that we're appropriately charging our licensees what we should for their applications and their renewals and the schools and everything else. So that should be coming hopefully in the next year or two, so we can kind of right-size our budget and our fees as well. And then the last form is our fund conditions. That kind of just wraps up both of the projections that we just went over. So on our fund condition, it reads left to right and top to bottom. So left to right, it starts in the actuals for fiscal year 23-24, and it goes through fiscal year 27-28. And then from top to bottom, there are 4 sections. There's the beginning balance, our revenue, our expenditures, and then the bottom line is our fund balance. So an easy way to kind of look at this is if you start with your beginning balance and you add your revenue, subtract your expenditures, then you get your fund balance. And then the very bottom section is the months in reserve. An easy way to kind of look at that is your months in reserve is how many months you can maintain your current operations if you stop taking money in today. So that's how the months in reserve work. So that $26.7 million, if you look at that second column under current year, that's how much we're projected to bring in this year. And if you move down, the $18.9 million is our expenditures, and that includes what we are projected to spend with the board, and that it also includes statewide pro rata, and that's the cost of doing business with the state, such as how much we're paying the state controller's office, the Department of Finance, and other state organizations that we use. So at the end of this fiscal year, we're projected to have 13.9 months in reserve. We are what's called structurally imbalanced, meaning we bring in more than we actually spend, which is why we are going to be looking into doing a fee audit. Is in a perfect world, you'd bring in almost equitably what you're spending, and we're bringing in more at this point. So if you look at the months in reserve at the bottom there, it is growing at approximately 2.5 to 3 months every single year. So at some point, our months in reserve are going to be well in excess of what they should be. So that fee audit here in the next couple of years will be good. So that's all I have for the budget. If you have any questions, I'll take them now.
Thank you so much for your report. Is there any public comment? Seeing no public comment in the room, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 5, please raise your hand. If you've called into the meeting, you may raise your hand by pressing *3. We'll give you a moment. All right, this is a moderator. I see no requests for comment at this time. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. Ito. At this time, we will make a change to the order of our agenda, and we will move agenda item 10C to this slot. After 10C, we will return to agenda item number 6. Mr. Maxey, I believe 10C is you. Thank you.
Are we going to have Ms. Woods come up to talk about no, just me?
Initially, we had just thought to have the committee's report
Okay.
and then go back to the division and other work
Okay.
at the other time.
Thank you, Mrs. Yamaguchi. So the Enforcement Committee is excited to update the board on the recent outreach efforts. The board recently completed the outreach schedule with DCA headquarters, public affairs staff through August of 2025. The schedule includes sending out our mental health PSA during May Mental Health Month and reminders about the intoxicated driving. Lastly, the cost recovery. The committee is currently conducting a review of cost recovery over the last 3 to 5 years to review the impact of the organization's changes that were made in the last 3 years. The committee believes that this review will be better to assist us in preparing for our next sunset review. The current number of hours that SI has spent on DOI rejections cases is 4,794, and that's totaling a saving of approximately $1,054,680 for 200 cases. And Madam Chair, if I may take personal privilege just to say a couple words. So President Mountain and Board, if I may just say, this has been a remarkable opportunity. Serving on this board of vocational nurses and psychiatric technicians. It has been one of the greatest honors to serve as the public member for the Speaker of California for 8 years. During my time on the Education Committee and most recently leading the Enforcement Committee, I am proud of the work we have accomplished for the nurses and technicians across California and for the consumers of California. I want to thank the entire BVNPT staff, my board colleagues. In particular, I would like to really take a moment and thank Ms. Wood, Jay, Mr. Ito, and Mrs. Yamaguchi. Most importantly, I want to thank my wife and my daughter for allowing me to serve the state of California for this long. And lastly, I want to say we must continue the work and be intentional to encourage our young people across this country, and particularly here in California, to understand that becoming a nurse and psychiatric technician are critical to the future of California. Madam President, thank you.
And thank you so much for your service. We appreciate it. And a very valuable member of our board. We will now return to the regular agenda, and we will start with agenda item 6, education reports, recommendations, and possible actions. Education Division report, Dr. McLeod. Good morning. Turn your mic on.
Okay. No problem. We currently have an NEC position open. The position will close today, and we hope to be interviewing in the next 2 weeks. So we're pretty excited. Site visits, we did 21 site visits in the last quarter. 14 of them were on site. 7 of them were virtual. So a lot of those virtual site visits were because we started 5 new programs. So it's been a busy quarter. We did have an exciting thing happen, and I'm sure that Leslie will be excited because we have another psychiatric technician that is program that is applied. So we're pretty excited about that. So we now have 2 psychiatric technicians that are in process to become programs. So that's one of the more exciting things that's been happening. We do have 10 programs currently with the NECs to be approved. So they're in the process of the proposed program process. So that's kind of a nice thing as well. We have been doing a lot of interesting things. We have done the just completed the Program Directors Forum. We did that on the 7th. We do thank Carol Mountain for speaking at our forum. It was very well attended. So we had 162 people come. So that was pretty exciting and pretty busy. We have finished our subject matter expert psychiatric technician education programs that were happening during the year. We did those January, February. The last one was completed about a month ago. So those are completed for the year. The psychiatric technician occupational analysis has been completed, and it is now in process of being analyzed. So that's pretty much the update for us.
You sound awfully busy.
It's been a
But
busy.
good
one.
busy and so exciting about that second psychiatric
Yeah,
technician
we're pretty
program.
excited.
Yeah,
So
very nice. Let's see. So can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second, Leslie Moore.
Thank you.
I'm just sorry to interrupt. Can we clarify what the motion is?
Oh, apologies.
Thank you.
Review, ratification, and approval of executive officer program decisions for period January 15, 2025 to April 1, 2025. As remiss. Do we need to do that again? The person who says yes? Okay, can we please do that again?
So moved.
You?
Second, Leslie Moore.
Thank you. Let's see. Suggestion motion, let's see. Any board discussion or questions? Seeing none. Any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam Board President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand. If you've called in, you may raise your hand by pressing *3. We'll give you a moment. All right, we do have a raised hand. And just a reminder, there's a 3-minute time limit. I'll give you a 30-second warning. And Lindsay Byers, you should see a prompt to unmute yourself. There you go. You're unmuted.
My name is Lindsay Byers. I'm a program director for a psychiatric technician program in Atascadero and Cuesta College. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to the board, to our NECs for all of the support. I love hearing the promoting of the psych tech profession and license. It is something that I'm very passionate about. So thank you so much for what you do for all of our programs and for the continued support.
And thank you for your comments. We appreciate that. Any other online comments?
Thank you, Madam President. I see no further comments, so I return the floor back to you.
Thank you so much. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sansan?
Yes.
I am also a yes, and that motion carries by a vote of 7. All right, we will now move on to, thank you so much, Dr. McLeod. We will now move on to request to admit students and request to revise curriculum. And the first one is Platt College, Alhambra, Ms. Silverman.
Good morning. I've submitted a report that was written by Ms. Bridget Barrett, our previous NEC, who is no longer with us. And so Platt College is now my school, but I just wanted to let you know that this is not my report. Her recommendations were to approve the program to admit a full-time class of 16 students to commence on September 25th, and also to continue the program to require to submit a comprehensive analysis report, which will be due September 1st.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the Platt College Alhambra Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations, and a second?
John Deerking will so move.
Thank you.
Rashima Sampson, second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program?
They were not going to be here.
Thank you. Any board discussion or questions? Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no requests for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sansan?
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I say yes. That motion carries by a vote of 7. Thank you so much, Ms. Silverman.
Thank you.
Medical Career College Vocational Nursing Program, Dr. Thompson.
Good morning. I have submitted my report for Medical Career College Vocational Nursing Program with their request to admit students. My recommendation is to approve the program's request to admit a full-time class of 20 students to commence on June 2nd with the graduation date of May 29th, 2026. And this replaces the class that will graduate on May 30th, 2025. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can I have a motion to approve the Medical Career College Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations and a second?
Rashima Sansone, I move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Trustee Moore, second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program?
Yes, I do. I just want to say thank you to everyone for your support, most especially to Dr. Thompson for her support to us. Thank you.
Thank you. You need to identify yourself, please.
Sorry, my name is Eric Honorado. I'm the program director of the VN program of Medical Career College.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there any board discussion or questions?
I have one question, Madam President, if I may. I would like to know from Mr. Arado, we note in the report that there has been program improvement over the last several quarters. Is there anything in particular to which you attribute that?
Good question.
Yes, we do. So it's like more of improving more and kind of intensifying, our postgraduate NCLEX preparation. So we want to make sure that, the students connect to us after they graduated, because our problems before is we're having a hard time, reaching out to them. But right now, so we were able to kind of connect with them after they graduate and really bring them back to school to have a one-on-one coach with our team, with me and the rest of our instructors to kind of guide them and coach them for the NCLEX.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. Is there any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name. If you've called in, you may press *3 to raise your hand. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no request for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. Motion is carried by a vote of 7. Thank you so much, Dr. Thompson. Oh, you have the next one too?
Next one,
I'll
yes.
just stay right here.
Okay.
All right, so we'll move to Summit College, San Bernardino Vocational Nursing Program. Dr. Thompson.
Okay. I have submitted my report for Summit College Vocational Nursing Program with request to admit students. Now, they are requesting several classes, and mainly because they have to come every time to the board meeting since they're on provisional, and the next ones would occur before the August board meeting. So my recommendations are to approve a full-time class of 30 students to commence on May 26, 2025, with the graduation date of May 22nd, 2026. And this is a replacement class for the class that will graduate on May 23rd. And then approve a full-time class of 30 students to commence on August 25th, with the graduation date of August 21st, 2026, which replaces a class that will graduate on August 22nd. And then the third one is approve a part-time class of 25 students to commence on August 11th, and with the graduation date of May 1st, 2027. And this replaces a class that graduated on March 16th, 2025. This program has made amazing strides in improving since they were put on provisional last May, and they have a new program director who has been in place for about 3 months. She prepared a excellent comprehensive analysis that was submitted on May 1st. It had a well-developed plan of correction, and so I am looking for great things from them. And also, I'm sure if things go the way they will be taken off of provisional next May. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the Summit College San Bernardino Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations, and a second?
John Deerking would so move.
Thank you.
Alicia Carpenter, second.
Oh, thank you both.
Feel free, Liz.
Is there any comment from representatives of the program?
Maybe online. Maybe not.
All right, sounds like maybe not. Is there any board discussion or questions? Seeing none. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none. Is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no requests for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who is in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I also say yes. That motion carries by a vote of 7. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on to C, recommendations to rescind pattern of admission and request to admit students. And the first one is Glendale Career College Vocational Nursing Program. Dr. Swanson.
Good morning. I've submitted my report for Glendale Career College Vocational Nursing Program to rescind their patterns of admission and improve the program's request to admit a 45 full-time day students. My recommendations are to approve the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Can I have a motion to approve the Glendale Career College Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations, and a second?
So moved.
Thank you.
Alicia Carpenter, second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program? Possibly online?
Yes, we have a raised hands from Bernie Malabanan. And Bernie, you should see a prompt to unmute. Go ahead and click on that. Bernie, you're unmuted. Bernie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys. Can you guys
Great.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Bernie Malabanan, and I'm the newly hired director for the vocational nursing.
I apologize. That was my fault. I just promoted him and that silenced him again. So Bernie, please continue.
Okay, I would like to thank Dr. Swanson for her recommendation, Dr. McLeod for her guidance through the years, and esteemed members of the board for their approval of our request to admit a new cohort for our students. Our school would like to reaffirm, our unwavering commitment to providing quality education that meets the highest standards. We are dedicated to working tirelessly to enhance our NCLEX outcomes, and we will continue to cultivate an environment that fosters excellence, innovation, and compassion. Thank you once again for your trust and support.
Thank you. Are there any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no request for comment at this time. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I vote yes. That is carried. That motion is carried by a vote of 7. And we will now move on to Northwest College Pomona Vocational Nursing Program. Dr. Swanson.
Thank you. I've submitted my report for Northwest College Pomona Vocational Nursing Program to rescind the program's pattern of admission and improve the program's request to admit a class of 45 full-time day students. My recommendations are to approve the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this as well.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the Northwest College Pomona Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations and a second?
Alicia Carpenter, so moved.
Rashima Sanson, second.
Have to have a motion. All right. Thank you for the second and the motion. Is there any comment from representatives of the program?
Good morning to the board. Thank you so much, Dr. Swanson, for your recommendations. Thank you for working with our program. Dr. McLeod, thank you for the years that you have worked with our program and for all the help you have given us over the years. I would like to say that we are committed to bringing our pass rates up, to delivering quality nurses into the workforce in the Pomona area. We are identifying areas of weakness so that we can provide the board with a comprehensive plan. And we would like to appreciate, again, all of the efforts that you have put into the report. And we are committed to working with you to bringing our program back to where it needs to be.
Can you please identify yourself by name?
Apologies. Yes. My name is Alicia Marcus. I am the recently appointed program director for both the Pomona and the West Covina campuses.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your comments. Is there any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no request for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. That motion is carried by a vote of 7. Thank you so much. Dr. Swanson, one more. Northwest College, West Covina Vocational Nursing Program.
Thank you. I have also submitted a report for Northwest College, West Covina Vocational Nursing Program to rescind the program's pattern of admission and approve the program's request to admit a class of 45 full-time students. My recommendations are to approve the report. Again, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the Northwest College, West Covina Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations and a second?
So moved.
Thank you.
John Deerking will second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program?
Thank you, Dr. Mountain. This is Alicia Marcus again. I have nothing further to add. The comments are the same as they were for Pomona.
Thank you so much. Is there any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand, or if you've called in, press *3. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no request for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. And there was also no interest in public comment in the room. I will do a roll call, establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sanson.
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. That motion carries by a vote of 7. Thank you so much. We will now move on. Thank you. We will now move on to D, consideration for provisional approval. California Healthcare Skills Center Vocational Nursing Program. Dr. Thompson.
Good morning again. I have submitted the report, which was prepared by Bridget Barrett, a former NEC, for the California Health Care Skills Center Vocational Nursing Program with a request to admit students. My recommendations are to place the program on provisional approval for 2 years effective May 16th, 2025. Place the program on the agenda for May 2027 board meeting. Approve the program's request to admit a full-time class of 15 students to commence on June 2nd, 2025, with a graduation date of June 6, 2026, to replace the class that graduated September 30th, 2024. Also require the program to submit a comprehensive analysis in 6 months, but no later than December 1st, and require the program to submit documentation of the third class of admitted students, which will be due June 12th, which is 10 days following the start of the program, to track the following. So we want to see a list of the students admitted, test scores, which test was selected. They have a choice of 2 tests. Record each item on the admission criteria and screening selection, and a report to the NEC on the first day of each month of the students' grades, remediation, and makeup attempts until the class graduates. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the California Healthcare Skills Center Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations, and a second?
John Deerkin will so move.
Thank you.
Rashima Sanson, second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program? Possibly online?
Yeah, she's here.
Oh, come up to the podium, please. Yes. Thank you. Good morning.
I'm here to represent, I am Dr. Edith Amadi. I'm here to represent California Healthcare Skills Center.
Can we get her closer to the microphone?
Yeah, I'm Edith Amadi. I'm the program director for California Healthcare Skills Center, and I'm here to talk about our concerted effort and plan to improve our pass rate. So first of all, we have revised our admission criteria and policy to make sure every student that comes is mandatory that they take pre-nursing assessment or TIS test. And we have increased the yardstick from 50% for TIS test to 55%. And for our pre-nursing assessment test, we increase it to 75%. We have also made changes to from HESI NCLEX preparation. Right now, we're adopting ATI, Assessment Technologies Institute. So we got the whole bundle, and we're working with them on that to make sure that our students from day one start testing, and the exams are also following new generation NCLEX protocols. We plan to make sure all our faculty get training on new generation text plan, and to make sure that they come on board so that they can carry the students along. Most of the time, our students after graduation, it's difficult to get them one-on-one to make sure they are ready. So we got the ATI test plan that includes the bundle of NCLEX Life Review. So plan to do that as a boot camp towards their 4th term to make sure all the students get prepared. And once they get the green light program from ATI, then we'll be able to encourage them to take the test. Some of them don't take the test until after 4, 5, 6 months. So we also plan to get some incentive. Once they get the green light, ATI green light program, we'll be able to give them some incentive to help them to take the exam in a timely manner. So these are all the things we have prepared, and we're really passionate to increase our test score, working with our new NEC and our whole staff together. And we really appreciate if you give us the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a quick question. You said that some students weren't taking the boards for 4 to 5 months. Do you have any idea what was delaying their test taking? Was it financial, or were they just afraid, or?
Yeah, the last group, we did the boot camp after graduation. So it was difficult to really get them after graduation. So some of them came and some didn't come. And we really plan to do the boot camp during their 4th term before they graduate to make sure they get the green light before they come, and also encourage them to take the exam as soon as they can after school.
I just wondered if you knew why they were deferring it, why they weren't taking it.
Most of them said it's money issues.
Okay.
And that's why we said we'll give them some incentive. Once we see that passion and they see the green light, and with the incentive, they will be able to respond better.
Excellent. Thank you. I was just very curious. It sounds like you do have a plan in place.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a quick question. Can you provide more information about what those incentives are?
So we plan to pay like 50% of their licensure fees.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that if they attend the boot camp?
The boot camp, and make sure they get the green light, and that will encourage
Nice.
them. And then we'll support them with that. So.
Oh, that's great. All right. Is there any further board questions?
How many students do you have? I'm sorry.
We plan to bring in 15 students. We're a small school.
You said 15?
15.
15, okay.
Any other questions from the board? All right, if there's no further questions from the board, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand by clicking the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no requests for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who is in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
From Carroll Mountain, I say yes, and that motion carries by a vote of 7. Thank you so much. We will now move to consideration for provisional approval, request for continuing approval, and request to admit students. Quest Nursing Education Center Vocational Nursing Program, Ms. Devia.
Good morning, board members.
Morning. Good morning.
I've submitted my report for Quest Nursing Education Center's vocational nursing program, which includes a report of continuing approval, a consideration for provisional approval, and a request to admit 90 students across 4 cohorts, all scheduled to start on June 10th, 2025. My recommendation is to grant provisional approval for a 2-year period beginning December 12th, 2024. Deny 3 of the 4 class requests, and approve 1 part-time day class of 30 students scheduled to begin on June 10, 2025. Since the submission of the report, I have received new correspondence from the program director on May 3rd, addressing some previously missing items related to the online modality policy and procedures. and I've begun reviewing this submission. However, I've not completed a full analysis prior to this meeting, but my initial review does indicate that there are still some areas that require full clarification and analysis. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I believe it said there was 5 out of 7 areas that still had not been addressed.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other, I guess I have to have a motion. Can I have a motion to approve the Quest Nursing Education Center Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations, and a second?
John Deerking will so move.
Thank you.
Darcy Moore, second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program? Okay, would you please step to the podium?
So James Ayers Smith, on behalf of the program, I am an attorney representing the Quest program. Honorable board members, I appear on behalf of Quest Nursing Education Center and the program director, Dr. Stacy Eletu, to address the recommendations contained in the Nursing Education Consultants Report dated May 6, 2025. Before addressing the specific allegations, there are some significant procedural irregularities to the board's as far as how this investigation has been conducted. Quest submitted its continuing approval application on December 11 of 2024, and under BVNPT's own guidelines, programs must be notified of any missing items within 30 days. And, per the program director, no such notification was provided until January 24 through January 28 during a 2025 site visit. And that's well beyond the 30-day required time frame. Despite repeated requests by the program director, Dr. Eletu, between February 13 to February 18, 2025, Quest was not provided with the violations report until after the executive officer had already denied the March class request. And this denied request the opportunity to address concerns before action was taken. There was also inconsistent regulatory interpretation. So, documentation, shows that different NECs provided contradictory guidance to Quest about required practices, particularly regarding tutoring requirements and documentation standards. And then on March 25th of 2025, there was an unannounced evaluation that occurred before Quest's March 28th curriculum submission could be reviewed, which is, from my understanding, contrary to standard administrative procedures where follow-up evaluations occur after review of corrective actions. So the program director should have had more time to implement those changes. And then after Quest's substantial March 28th submission, there was no acknowledgement that was received. There was no feedback provided until the May 6th report. And that created an impossible situation where, where Quest could not address any remaining issues before this hearing. There were also some factual inconsistencies in the report. The report contains, statements that are untrue about conversations with Dr. Eletu, and the program director sitting right behind me who can speak to that. And then also observations of faculty conduct, which, again, we will address more specifically. The board's report was, intermittently, and this is an issue that, I found public access. I tried to find the report on the BVMPT website, and, I'll speak on the record that when I was trying to access it, I was getting a 404 error multiple times. The report wasn't accessible, and I was only able to access it after multiple attempts. And I had to Google the report, and it came up on, on Google, but it did not come up on the official website, which is a procedural issue there. Now, so those are procedural issues. Now, with respect to the specific alleged violations, there's a violation of the instructional plan, and the NEC's report cites discrepancies in Quest instructional plan, particularly regarding instructional methods, content alignment, and, additional discrepancies. And so, we would respond, as follows. Concerning the submission history, when submitting the continuing approval application in December 2024, the program director included the part-time curriculum on the new form, as that was the focus of the current operations. And the program was not notified that both curricula were required until February 13 of 2025.
Sir, thank you so much for your comments. That's your 3 minutes.
Okay. May I have the program director also speak to the issues?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Hello.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to say that for the most part, I'm just really surprised to be here.
Excuse me.
And
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Can you say your name?
I'm Dr. Stacy Alatu.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm really nervous. We've been working very, very hard to keep our program compliant. We've always been compliant. Our pass rates are compliant. It's been that way since we started 2017. We haven't gone below the pass rates. We work very hard 24/7 with our faculty, and we're very open to working with the board on making any changes for anything that needs to be changed. That's never been an issue, but it's very difficult to work with our nursing education consultant because when there aren't things that are in regulation, it's hard to know exactly how to meet the actual guideline. So for example, we had disagreements when it came to, like, she would say things like, well, you can't charge students for the makeup fees. You have to change it in your policy. And I'd say, well, it's in our enrollment agreement. The students are aware of that. This is our practice. She'd ask about tutoring, and I'd mention we have a list of tutoring services. This is how we were advised by the board and our previous NEC. And she would say, well, you guys have to provide the tutoring. I said, well, that's not what we were advised of. And I said, even with that, we have three people that we hired to provide tutoring for the students. They're available to the students 7 days a week. She said, well, if you're going to use those people, you have to get them approved as faculty. And I was like, I'm not aware of that. That has never been noticed to me, that if we hire external people to provide tutoring services, they have to be faculty. And she says, well, I'm worried that the students are not getting their hours. And I'm like, why would you be worried about that? We ensure that the students always get their hours. She says, well, there's no attendance sheets. There's no physical attendance sheets. I'm like, well, we do have attendance. We track attendance. We track it on Moodle. We track it on Excel. I have 2 staff members responsible for doing that. If you want us to do it a specific way, we're happy to do that. When we were having this meeting, we had a class that was starting in 2 weeks that we had submitted a request for in January. And
30
she told
seconds.
me that, okay, she told me that by the time she was done talking to the executive officer, the executive officer would deny that class, which I thought was very odd, because how can you tell me she's going to deny the class when she hasn't even seen the report? So I told her, I said, okay, well, go ahead and please put in the request, because I was hoping that the executive officer would see that there's something wrong here. I essentially was bullied during this process. And one thing that she can't make up is she cannot make up our outcomes. She cannot make up our pass rates.
3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further people from the school? Well, you'll have to wait unless you're represented from the school, you'll have to wait until we call for public comment. Thank you. Is there any board discussion or questions?
Madam President, if I may, I have a question
Please.
for our NEC. Ms. Davila, you've heard the argument by counsel and also Dr. Aletu. Having heard that, is there any material change to the report you submitted?
There are no changes. My report stands as submitted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I have a quick question. Could one of you from the school just tell me, what is the fee how much do students pay to complete this program?
The program is $30,000.
$30,000. Thank you. All right, any other board questions? All right. Is there any public comment in the room?
Board, my name is Elena Garcia Labonte. I'm an interested public comment. I have a comment.
Excuse me, can you speak into the mic, please?
Hi, my name is Elena Garcia Labonte, and I would like to go over some violation instructional plans that I have that I am interested in reading to you folks. Can I take this off?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Oh, so much easier. Okay, may I speak? Am I? Yeah. Go. Okay, so in response to the specific allied violations, violation number 1 instructional plan, the NACS report cites discrepancy in the Quest institutional plan, which is the IP, particularly regarding the instructional methods, content alignment, and additional discrepancies. We respond as the following. Submission history. When submitting the continuing approval application in December 2024, Dr. Ilutu included the part-time curriculum on the new forum on that was a focus on the current operations. The program was not notified that both curriculum were required into February 13, 2025, 2 months after submission, and contrary to the 30-day notification requirement. Observation claims. The report claims that during the classroom observation, pardon me, I don't have my glasses on, the instructor was observed with eyes closed and head down during class time. The observation is denied by Dr. Elliott too, who was present during the evaluation. Dr. Elliott too immediately sought clarification about this from both evaluators, but received no response. This raises a serious concern about the basis of the report. Instructional methods, the NEC regarding Zoom lectures not being observed and lack of instructions reflect a single point in time observation, rather than the program's actual practice. Following the instructional feedback, Quest has implemented live instructions, which was acknowledged by students during the follow-up visit, who reported that live lectures in the class group work had occurred most of the time over the past 2 weeks.
30 seconds.
Yes, ma'am. Current allegations, the claimed between theory and clinical content represents an overly rigged and not supported by specific requirements. The requirements require, therefore, their theory to proceed clinically practice, which Quest curriculum provides. The claim that part-time students complete 30, 56 hours of theory before their first skill lab.
3 minutes
Does
are
not
up.
Thank you.
support. Thank you. Get this back on.
Can we ask if there is there any further public comment in the room? All right, seeing none. Is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please click on the hand icon next to your name. If you've called in, you may press *3. I do see we have a raised hand from Erica Hunt. Erica, you'll have 3 minutes with a 30-second warning. And Erica, you should see a prompt to unmute yourself. There you go, you're unmuted.
Hi, my name is Erica Hunt. I'm one of the faculty for Quest Education. I've been working there about 3 years. In the report, it is stated that one of the staff was observed eyes closed. I'm actually the staff that was in the meeting with her, and I wear dark glasses due to a concussion and light sensitivity. So when I am online, you actually cannot see my eyes at all. So my head might have been down looking at other things, but it is impossible for her to tell if my eyes were closed or not. Also, during that time, we were discussing when she would have a meeting with the students. So we were actively in conversation at that time. And then when she came back later in the afternoon, she observed me actually doing a live lecture. So during that whole time, there was no way she could observe me having my eyes closed. Also, I can say that there have been a lot of changes made to Quest, including the live lectures. Dr. Litu has been working on actually reconstructing the program to try to meet standards that Ms. Davila has tried to impose, but it seems that every time she tries to meet these standards, there's always something wrong again. So it's like it's never right. And it has caused Dr. Litu to have a lot of stress, because she is trying to meet these standards that seem impossible. And she has been very hard to work with. I myself needed assistance because I've never used Microsoft Teams, and she was very reluctant to help me figure out how to share my screen. All I was told was press the green button, and beyond that, she just moved on. So there really has not been assistance, not only with Dr. Litu, but from what I have had with her myself. So I just feel like it has been highly stressful, impossible. I have read her reports, and pretty much none of what she wrote is honest or has had any honest conversation. It just seems like she comes in, she kind of wreaks havoc, and then puts out a report that is very inconsistent and untruthful. So that is all.
Thank you. Are there any further public comments online?
Thank you, Madam President. I see no request for further comment. I return the floor back to you.
Thank you so much. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Abstain.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman? Mr. Maxey?
Abstain.
Ms. Moore?
Abstain.
Ms. Sanson?
Abstain.
And I vote yes. We do not have enough votes to carry this, so we will table this until the next meeting, a future meeting. All right, thank you. Agenda item 7, Executive Officers Report. Ms. Yamaguchi.
Pardon me.
Good morning again, Elaine Yamaguchi, Executive Officer. First of all, let me just say how grateful I am to Mr. Ken Maxey and Mr. John Deere King for their years of service and their great wisdom and truthfully, senses of humor. We will miss you both very, very much. So thank you again for your great work.
Thank you.
Secondly, in terms of my written report, there are a couple of things that I would like to call out for the board members. The first one being the governor's reorganization plan. Just by way of background, the governor has proposed reorganizing our parent agency, Business Consumer Services and Housing, and his plan would divide the agency into two, creating a new agency, which would be California Housing and Homelessness, and then the California Business and Consumer Services would retain the DCA functions like our board. This plan was just heard by the Little Hoover Commission over the past couple of weeks. It will, if approved, be moved to the legislature for consideration and would be talked about in the entire context of the state's budget. I did link the plan from the Little Hoover Commission's site. If you're interested, it's long, but it's really interesting, I believe. So I wanted to call that out, of course. Secondly, what I wanted to mention, of course, in our longstanding discussion over our colleagues at the Respiratory Care Board, I did want to report back, and I think Dr. McLeod and Mr. Deerking may supplement here. The Respiratory Care Board did meet and did approve their regulatory language, which we've been analyzing and commenting on for a bit now. The board meeting, which I did not attend, I apologize, was a very lengthy one, I believe, and the comments and the discussion were all over, I think, interesting. The upshot here is while the RCB has approved that rulemaking proposal, and it would be moving forward to first the DCA director and agency, and then if all else is passed to the Office of Administrative Law. But what is striking is the RCB has also, in the context of its annual rulemaking calendar, has suggested several kind of concurrent or sequential, at least, rulemaking packages, which would carve out the provision of respiratory care, especially suctioning, that is named specifically in the initial rulemaking package. Bottom line being that the Respiratory Care Board would recommend that vocational nurses not be allowed to do suctioning and other processes specifically named. But the Respiratory Care Board is now going to be working, not just to finish and pass this package, but their next projects would be to create a carve-out system for home health care providers. And I believe they've named and discussed congregate care, other residential care facilities. And elsewhere in the package, and I'll get back to this when we get to legislation, the School Nurses Association had objected to the Respiratory Care Board's initial rulemaking package, in as much as school nurses supervise LVNs in school sites who must provide regular suctioning care and other support care for pupils with extraordinary needs. To not be able to have the nurses provide that care is dangerous to the students, or basically would require them to not be allowed to attend a public school. So they do have another bill, which, as I said, we'll be discussing in a bit. So as we go forward, obviously, will be monitoring RCB's proposals and the status there. And as they introduce more detailed language, we'll certainly be bringing that back to the board for discussion. And I'd be delighted to answer any questions or ask Mr. Deerking if he'd like to add some comments.
If I may, Madam President, it was a pleasure to speak in a public capacity at the March 17th meeting of the RCB in Temecula. And regarding the chaptering of SB 1436, which extends to January 1st, 2027, LVNs may continue to perform specified respiratory care services. Now, the regulations package that will implement and flesh out the requirements of SB 1436 will require, on the part of this board, active attention to the progress of the rules-making package and perhaps action and negotiation as between BVNPT and the Respiratory Care Board. Some of the issues include suctioning, training, and also certification. So that's my impression, and I did indicate as a during the public comment period that I personally would want to see a moving forward with the idea of a common end here, which is to retain these critical services, especially in underserved areas here in our great state. And so we will certainly have some work to do, but once again, I am very confident in the leadership of this board as we move forward.
I'd be delighted for any other questions or comments from board members. All right. Do I need to ask for public comment? Public comment?
Is there any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name, or if you've called in, pressing *3. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no requests for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
And I return it to Ms. Yamaguchi.
Right. We do have a couple of smaller and potential action items regarding the board's calendar. First, in A sub 1, the staff would recommend that the board consider changing our November board meeting date from November 20 and 21st to November 17 and 18. We've been encountering a lot of, let's just call it compaction, with proper and fully equipped meeting facilities to move from the 20th and 21st, a Thursday and Friday, as we're used to a 17th and 18th, which would be a Monday and Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. This would enable us to be able to to reserve and meet in, I believe, this room. But like I said, and as we all know, the holiday season is very, very difficult to make certain that we have quorum, that we have facilities. So I would wonder if the board would like to discuss that and opine here. I would need a motion.
Pardon?
I would need a motion to change the calendar.
Right. That's coming up.
Thank you.
Following that, can I have a motion to approve the recommendation to change November 2025 board meeting date from November 20 and 21 to November 17 and 18, and a second?
Rashima, move to approve.
Thank you.
Alita Carpenter, second.
Thank you. Is there any board discussion or questions?
I'm sorry, can you just repeat those dates?
I would move from the 20th and 21st, which is a Thursday and Friday, to the 17th and 18th, which is a Monday and Tuesday.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If anyone would like to comment, please raise your hand. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no raised hands. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Although this will not impact my calendar personally, I respect our EO and would support the change in date. So yes.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey had to step out. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I vote yes. That motion is carried by a vote of 6.
So the last, A sub 2, this is a long and sad story a little bit. Because of budget constraints, because of the time of year, because of a lot of different reasons, we had initially thought that there would not be sufficient business need to have the August board meeting, but in the ensuing few weeks / months, we have found that there is quite a bit of work that needs to be done, although possibly not an entire full board meeting. So what I would recommend instead of canceling the board meeting outright, what I would like to do is ask the board members for some thoughts on, we have a variety of different options before us. The first, of course, being that we could, meet as we are here today. Secondly, that we could possibly divide up the meeting so that we would be able to have a principal meeting in one place and more members that were beyond the quorum count could actually telecommute in. We could actually have what used to be our traditional telecommunications meeting, whereby we would find a few locations up and down the state so that, board members could find a much more localized place. Like we would go like Inland Empire, East Bay, Los Angeles, San Diego, or maybe Reading. But we could do that fairly easily as well. The other option the board could consider, of course, is, and I actually don't recommend this one, is the board could recommend to delegate any needed action items to the executive committee to be ratified at the following board meeting, excuse me. I'd be really interested in hearing any thoughts on what would work best for the board members themselves. But
Haven't we in the past had a board meeting that's divided into Northern California versus Southern California with a location in each spot to meet?
we have, but under the existing back to the Keene laws, we would need to have, I believe, a majority, if not actually a quorum in one place.
Okay, so much for my thought.
Now, what I didn't say before, though, is that we actually, one of the reasons we had been thinking to recommend to cancel was that we are going to possibly lose a working quorum of board members if the governor's office and our other appointing authorities don't make some appointments within the next 60, 90 days.
Including myself.
Including yourself, including the president. Yes, exactly. So it's a little bit worrisome, but I actually do have faith that the governor's office is working. And I was told that the Senate and Assembly offices were working. So that was like my bigger worry in April. But like I said, I would be really interested to hear what the board members, what would work best for them.
I'm not opposed to telecommuting. I think for me, that works better.
Okay.
Whatever works for the board, works for me.
Thank you so much.
I would choose to telecommute also.
All right.
Available.
Great. Dr. Mountain, any thoughts? Okay, so what we'll need to finalize, of course, is whether we will have a number of different locations or whether we'll have one main location and allow other board members to call in. So we'll need to work on, make certain we can make all those arrangements work. But I do appreciate your thoughtfulness here. So I don't know if this if that's a motion or if that's.
I have a quick question too. Since you have listed 2 days, no, you just have cancel. So it will just be 1 day?
I would imagine so, because
we
like
don't
I
have a
said,
date on here.
I didn't, the original date for August is calendared, but I didn't imagine we would have 2 days worth of work.
Okay, perfect. I'm just clarifying. All right. Do we need a motion?
Or do I need to defer?
No, you don't need a motion to decide how the meeting's going to be held in August.
Okay, so then I could report and discuss further at the executive committee meeting. Good, thank you so much. And that concludes my report. I'd still be delighted with any questions or comments.
All right, seeing none, we'll move to section B, the executive committee report. That's myself, and it was provided in the meeting resources. Is there any discussion or questions by the board? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand by pressing on the hand next to your name or pressing *3. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no requests for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you so much. And I believe at this time we will take a 15-minute break.
Sounds good.
And we will reconvene at 10:45. All right, we will resume after break. And we will start with agenda item 8, licensing and evaluations, report recommendations and possible actions. Ms. Brown.
Good morning. I'm Shelley Brown, the licensing manager. The licensing division report is included in your packet. The licensing team is nearly fully staffed. We have only one licensing technician vacancy, which hopefully we'll be able to fill this summer. Our initial application average processing time was under 3 weeks, and our average caller assist rate was at 93%, which is really good. Did anyone have any questions?
Are there any board questions or discussion? No. Please.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no requests for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the report. On review from council, the motion for Quest Nursing Education Center Vocational Nursing Program did pass, and I will turn it over to legal counsel at this time.
Good morning, everyone. So pursuant to Civil Code Section 12 and California Code of Civil Procedures Section 15, when read together, it is the majority of those who actually voted determines the outcome. So abstentions are people who did not vote, so they are not included in those who actually voted. Therefore, if
a total of 3 people voted, whether it was yes, no, or yes or no. Those 3 people's votes, the majority of that vote is what determines the outcome. So if 3 people voted yes, no, 0 people voted no, and there were a total of 6 people, and 3 of those were abstentions, it passed. Sorry if it's not entirely clear the way I just explained it, but the vote passed. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to agenda item 9, legislative and regulations report, recommendations, and possible actions. Ms. Carpenter.
Yes, thank you. The Legislation and Regulations Committee met on April 18th. I called the meeting to order at 8:31. Committee member Sonson was present online. General Counsel Butu advised us that board member Abraham Hill, was attending the meeting as an observer, but would not be actively participating. Executive Officer Yamaguchi led a discussion on the following legislative bills. The analyses are in the agenda packet. Staff will be reporting on each bill, and the board should feel free to ask questions. First bill, AB 323, work-based learning opportunities, is in appropriations. The committee recommends that BVNPT watch this bill. Ms. Yamaguchi will provide a summary for us.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. AB 323 by Mr. Fong has to do with the work-based learning opportunities. It basically allows community college districts to use the Strong Workforce Program funds that are apportioned directly to the districts so that they can provide direct support for paid work-based learning opportunities. And it'll require the community college chancellor's office to revise the policies, regs, and guidance by June 30, 2026. I think a lot of the board members will recall that we've historically been very interested in the promotion of programs that would provide like earn and learn opportunities, apprenticeship opportunities. So this is an interesting bill. It is on suspense, but we'll wait and see, I guess, on that, Madam Chair.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board members? No. Thank you. Assembly Bill 395 regarding holidays. It is in appropriations. This time of year, many of the bills are in appropriations committees. The committee recommends that BVNPT watch this bill, and Mr. Weiler will be glad to provide a summary for us.
Good morning. This is Jeffrey Weiler, your admin manager. Assembly Bill 395 seeks to require the board as a state agency to schedule its public meetings around any holidays where cultural or religious observance requires strict fasting or prayers. It seeks to elevate equity of underserved communities, especially religious minorities in California. And so effectively, this would require us to take a look at the religious holidays known to the board and ensure that we do not schedule public meetings on such days to prevent a conflict. There is no fiscal impact anticipated for this bill. However, there would be a bit of, as Ms. Yamaguchi mentioned earlier, a bit of a compaction issue with our rooms here in Sacramento with scheduling. So it will require greater coordination with our partners at DCA to make sure that we have a room available for us. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. Weiler, and thank you also for the analyses that you performed on so many of these bills. Excellent job. AB 742 regarding licensing. It is in Assembly Appropriations. Senate Bill 518 is the companion bill, I believe. It is in Senate Appropriations. The committee recommends that BVNPT watch both AB 742 and SB 518, and Ms. Yamaguchi will be glad to provide a summary for us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. AB 742 is seems to be the next chapter and a work in progress, which would look to essentially would work to prioritize applications for licensure from persons who are descendants of American slaves. As Ms. Carpenter was saying, enactment of AB 742 is contingent on the enactment of SB 518, which is also running through the system right now. 518 would establish this Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery, which would initially, their mission would be to determine, first off, create a system for determining an individual's status as a descendant of enslaved people. It basically would develop this system by which any other operational applications of, for example, 742 would be asked to move forward. So since both are in appropriations right now, and as Ms. Carpenter also observed, almost everything is right now, we have no indication really, aside from, of course, the overall budget conditions, whether or not these will be enacted. So on the one hand, we've talked about legislation that would, create prioritizations for licensure for a variety of groups. And this would still do that, but we would not be able, assuming SB 518 was enacted, funded, and operational. The conditions of 742, if approved, would not really be worked on until about 4 years after that. By the way, I plan to retire before that. So it's a weird and interesting approach to it. I think there's a lot of merits here, but I also, as we've discussed a number of times, creating priorities and things for applicant groups. Once you start, every group has a really compelling reason to create an exemption. And so it just kind of robs any significance. So again, I would be delighted to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the committee, from the board? Excuse me. No. Thank you, Ms. Yamaguchi.
No.
Did you, Ms. Moore, did you have a question?
No, I reviewed the.
Thank you.
Yeah.
AB 766, DEI and Strategic Planning. Also in Assembly Appropriations, the committee recommends that BVNPT watch this bill. Mr. Weiler will provide a summary. Thank you.
Jeffrey Weiler, Admin Manager. This bill has two main portions to it. One pertains to strategic planning requirements. The other part is a racial equity analysis prior to implementing any regulation or budgets. The strategic plan element would require the board to undertake an analysis across California to identify any underserved communities to engage and gather input from them, which have been historically disadvantaged, and then to incorporate inclusive practices into the strategic plan and also to publish that document online. I'm happy to say that a lot of those requirements were already spoken to in the governor's executive order from 2022. So our partners at Solid have already fundamentally incorporated those DEI practices into our current 2025, 2030 strategic plan, which is posted online. The worrisome part of this bill, if it becomes law, pertains to the racial equity analysis portion of it. And the worrisome part is that the language of the bill does not speak to any methodology or requirements by which to conduct the analysis itself. So this could lead state agencies and other local government bodies, public school bodies, which would have jurisdiction under this bill to broadly and subjectively interpret this. I reached out to the author's office to get some clarification on that and was advised that they intentionally left that language vague and up to each individual agency to interpret and apply that how they wish. They also referred me to the Racial Equity Commission for a copy of their framework as a guide. I reached out to them. No such framework exists. They are still in the process of creating that and hope to have it by December 2025. So while there's no philosophical dispute with the merits of this bill, it's more of a practical issue of how would we, like I said, interpret and apply this to make sure it is accurate and meets the intent of the author. My full analysis is in your packets. Do you have any questions for me?
Ms. Sonson had several questions. I'm not sure that we're able to answer them at this stage either, though.
Yeah, I do have several questions, but I'll just start with one. I understand the concern of aligned methodologies. I agree with that. My other concern is, since it's still being drafted, solidified, confirmed, my concern is what oversight mechanisms will be in place for review and validation. Will there be like one body to ensure that all agencies follow key KPI or things to follow, whereas other agencies may have their own individual based on how they serve the community. So that's one of my major questions. I think I have about 6, but I'll stop there.
Do you want me to? Sansan, you raise a really terrific question here because it is so very, very unclear. But as you also noted, the bill's essentially halfway through the system, which means that if it is going to move forward, I would assume that in the second house, it's going to get worked on to get clarifications. Certainly, we're going to keep an eye on that, and I would say that we can certainly bring the board a report on this at whatever August meeting we do schedule. But I think if something moves in a way that's, we think not is problematic, I think we would probably send a note out to the board members immediately and see if we couldn't engage with the author's office.
Okay, thank you.
Were there any other board member questions? No. Assembly Bill 1082 regarding out-of-state nurse.
There is a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good morning. This is Christy Shields, Regulations Counsel for the board. So I noticed the bill talks about that the analysis has to be done before any regulation takes effect. So any regulation, like a fee increase, like we could go out of business before that's done. I mean, like, I'm just trying to figure out how that would work and whether they've narrowed the scope to, is it any regulation that we ever adopt? And my concern there is, if you don't take a position on a bill when that kind of effect could happen to you, then you don't have an opportunity to weigh in on the ambiguities and the concerns. So a watch is not a position. So that would be my concern as reg counsel, because I don't know how we'd get our regulations done if there isn't some clarification as to what those procedures are and whether it could interfere with your ability to function as an agency because you haven't done that part. If that is the impact, then that needs to be actually quantified fiscally in the bill for you and to explain that fiscal impact to the legislature, because they do pay attention to those things, particularly in this budget economy. So I would just urge the board to consider if this is something that, as staff has indicated, as broad as it is, you might not want to just watch the bill. Suggestion.
I think in taking a watch position, we were assuming that things would be further clarified.
Well, the Legislative Affairs Office has told us watch is not a position. And so they have recommended that the boards either take a support if amended or oppose. It depends on how you feel about the policy, which way you want to approach it. But in order for them to consider affirmatively or amendments, you need to take a position is what they've recommended us to do, to tell you at board meetings. Because a watch is, it means you're not really interested in the outcome of the policy. And that may be fair. You may not be interested, but if you are, then you probably want to take some kind of position that indicates where you would land on it if your concerns were addressed. Support or oppose.
Okay,
All right.
certainly. We will keep this in mind for all further legislation and regulations meetings.
So could I make a recommendation with this bill particularly? We have a couple of different alternatives. One, of course, being we amend the position, recommended position, and the board votes today. Or we could delegate the responsibility to the executive committee, who will be meeting beginning of June,
Yes.
to provide that. And we would, of course, then provide that report back to the full board afterward. So one or others, there's probably other ideas that could work too, but, Council Shields is correct that a legislator's office is not necessarily going to be moved by a watch and statement of concerns. So,
The will of the committee,
Ms.
or of the
Salzman,
board, excuse me.
do you want to make a motion then at that point?
I do have a statement, if I may. My statement is, if some of our concerns are addressed, I will move to, I guess, would it be approval, to move to approve? I'm just kind of confused right now. To support.
We could do support if amended to address our concerns.
Right. So be support if amended or oppose unless amended. Depends on how strongly you feel about the policy outcomes and also whether if they don't pay attention to your concerns. And so oppose unless amended often will get you more leverage in your negotiations on a bill. But if you think that the outcome might be positive, you could take a support if amended position as well. But I defer to legal counsel on what she would recommend on the approaches, but just want to restate that they're approve. It's got to be either support if amended, and the other options.
Thank you, Ms. Shields.
Thank you.
Well, I would prefer that the board discuss what the concerns are and how you feel, or, how the board wants to approach the policy that comes. So without having that information, it's hard for me to help you kind of come to a consensus on whether you want to support if amended, oppose unless amended. I mean, there's a variety of different options like Christy discussed. So,
That
do you
makes
wanna
sense.
talk about it some more?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. Then
Defer to the executive committee for discussion. Is that
Is that on the table?
the other recommendation?
Yeah, they can flesh it out a little bit more and then bring it back to the board, and you guys can have a further discussion. And then, they'll have a recommendation hopefully as to what, after their discussion, the executive committee, what they're going to recommend as to, what the board thinks, and then the board can discuss and decide.
Okay. And in the meanwhile, we'll watch it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Let's see. We did that. Okay, AB 1082. Out-of-state nursing programs in assembly appropriations. The committee recommends that BVNPT oppose this bill. There you go, Ms. Shields. A strong position. Ms. Yamaguchi will be glad to provide a summary.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. This bill is, truthfully, this seems to be kind of a national trend, but this bill would allow a nursing student who's a California resident and enrolled in a distance education nursing program based in an out-of-state private institution to be able to do their clinical work in California. And the bill does lay out a lot of specifications for how they can do that. But the bottom line here is that even though the bill would prohibit the agencies from bumping BRN students in favor of these out-of-state students, it's problematic on the whole, and it's quietly, sneakily problematic to this board. I think we've seen over the past year or so that, and certainly the NECs have talked about this quite a bit, that there are a number of schools that have mentioned how difficult it is to find adequate clinical placements for their students. And in a lot of instances, clinical sites are basically uninviting LVN students in favor of RN students. So adding these extra out-of-state students essentially continues to more compact the available sites. We would recommend to oppose this bill. As I said, not only is it likely to really impact our programs, our students, it needs a lot of, I think, clarification in terms of this adequate supervision and regulations by BRN. I can't help but think that the potential for fraud is huge. So, Madam Chair.
Are there any board member questions?
You know I have to
Or
say something.
comments?
I absolutely oppose this bill. The amount of impaction to nursing students, RN and LVN, certainly in the Sacramento area, in Greater California, it's something that is discussed at every nurse educator meeting I've been at in the last, I would say, 7 years at least. And I'm not sure where they think they're going to get these placements, but as far as we're concerned, we don't have enough placements for our current students. And this would really displace people from California who need to be taking those spots. So I would strongly oppose it.
So
Are you recommending a position of strong opposition?
I have a question, Madam President, if I may. Does this primarily impact distance learning in what we might call bridge programs, either CNA to VN or VN to RN?
No, it's the traditional distance learning programs for RNs.
Okay, do we have any idea how many such programs are available to
No,
students?
the likelihood is there are hundreds, if not more.
Okay, I share Madam President's concerns, especially in the more difficult clinical placement areas. I mean, even med surg, maternity, OBGYN, genitourinary, and especially peds. There is a strong potential, if not probability, that some of the current California students would definitely be displaced.
Yeah, and I'd also remind the board that through the good work of our NECs, we're increasing the number of schools and students. So demand is growing, supply is shrinking. So, Madam Chair.
I just had a statement. I was concerned about the regulation. How will if these students were to come over, how would they be regulated? And, that was my concern. And concur with you guys said about the overcrowding. It is already difficult to find facilities, and just to have more students come, will they boot our students out? Who would get preference? Will some of the facilities get paid for these students coming over that will eliminate our students from attending that program? That facility? Those are questions, those are some of the concerns that I had too.
And at the same time, if I may, Madam President, I do support a robust policy that would provide for public funding of these types of programs.
We need a motion. You make the motion first.
Is it for all of those things?
No, it's just this bill. It's just AB 1082.
Just AB 1082. So we would like to put out a motion it be that we strongly oppose or that we oppose? What is the motion for?
Generally speaking, we would oppose the bill as a whole.
Okay. So we would like to put out a motion that we take the stand that we would oppose AB 1082. And is there a motion or a second?
John Deerking would so move.
Thank you.
Rashima Sanson, second.
Thank you. Is there any further board discussion about this? Hot topic. Is there any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand. If you have called into the meeting, you can press *3. We do have a raised hand from Matthew Wanta. And Matthew, you should be able to unmute. You'll get a prompt. So go ahead and click on that prompt. There you go.
Believe you can hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, I strongly agree with the vote to oppose this bill. More importantly, I wanted to say that this not just is problematic because we're bringing in students from other states and so on and so forth, but we're not growing our own in the state of California, which is the primary problem with this bill. So thank you.
Thank you. I will now do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey is not here. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. So that motion is carried by a vote of 6. All right, back to you.
Thank you. Back to the agenda item, Senate Bill 389, Pupil Healthcare Services. It's on the Senate floor. The committee recommends that BVNPT support this bill, and Mr. Gonzalez will be providing a summary on this measure.
Nicholas Gonzalez, Education Analyst. I have an update. It did pass through Senate floor on consent yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
The bill has changed since my original analysis. Originally, SB 389 was edited the education code directly to allow LVNs working under the supervision of a credentialed nurse to perform respiratory care tasks under the same guidelines as that credentialed nurse, notwithstanding other laws such as LVN scope of practice. The current language has 2 areas of impact: the education code and the business and professions code. Instead of the previous proposal, the education code is expanded to allow LVNs working under a credentialed nurse to perform basic respiratory services as authorized by Section 3765 of the Business and Profession Codes. You may recall that Section 3765 of the Business and Profession Code is a lot of our discourse with the Respiratory Care Board, specifically subdivisions I and J. This is not addressing those. It is adding a new subdivision, Subdivision L, which states that an LVN working under the supervision of a credentialed nurse may perform basic respiratory tasks and services. The concern in this change is that we do not have a defined basic respiratory tasks and services in regulation. The goal of this bill is partially to help cover that transition, and it no longer will until we have defined regulation on that. In addition, this bill does further splinter LVN scope of practice based on their location. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Would these amendments change our position on the bill?
I do not, while I do still believe we recommend a support, it's just not as strong as previously.
Would amendments to the bill make a difference? Support if amended, or support regardless of any amendments that might be forthcoming?
I would state support regardless of amendments, because unfortunately the need to put this within the statute is just that significant.
Okay, thank you. Board member questions, comments?
No. Need a motion. Yes.
So do we have a motion to support SB 389 pupil healthcare services and a second?
Rashima Sampson, I move to support.
Okay.
Point of clarification. So this is a motion from the Ledge Reg Committee?
A recommendation.
Pardon me?
A recommendation.
Oh, okay. I will second.
Thank you. Is there any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name. If you've called in, you can raise your hand by pressing *3. And I do see we already have some raised hands. You'll have a 3-minute limit. I'll give you a 30-second warning. And first we have Elizabeth McPeak. Elizabeth, you should be able to unmute.
And what does that mean concerning training the LVN in a student setting?
I'm sorry. Could you please repeat that, please?
So does this mean any changes in training for sectioning in a student setting, or as they're being trained in, say, a subacute area to section?
I'm afraid that the jurisdiction over that would be overseen by the Respiratory Care Board. So it wouldn't involve direct LVN training, except that received by the Respiratory Care Board in this regard.
So we have to refer to the respiratory care
As they
guidance under the 3765.
As they develop their curriculum, yes.
So will the BVMPT be notifying us of any changes then? Yes?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And next we have calling user 4. Calling user 4, press *3 to, or excuse me, press *6 to unmute. All right, calling user 4, if you see a prompt to unmute, go ahead and select it. There you go, you're unmuted.
Hello, my name is Shirley Jones. I am president of LVNLC here in California. And I'm kind of confused because, to my recollection, LVNs have always been able to suction patients. That was part of our job description. So I'm just kind of amazed that this has been stopped or something has interfered with the suctioning of patients, their safety, and it has come to some alarming issues.
Madam Chair, should I provide a response for that?
Yes,
Thank
I'm
you.
just wondering why are we deciding whether LVNs will be any longer be able to suction patients? That's always been a job description that we've done as an LVN over, oh my goodness, I can't think now, working 35 years, been retired now, over 20 years. I can't imagine that been something on the agenda that you're voting for, whether it's going to be approved or not approved.
So I'm going to try and make this as brief an answer as I possibly can.
Okay.
BVNPT is not asking for any reduction, narrowing of scope, focusing. You can only do this kind of work in certain settings, professional settings. Basically, this has been a longstanding conversation with our fellows at the Respiratory Care Board. And in their opinion, and they've evidenced this through their own legislation, their sunset bill, and the regulatory package that they had approved to move forward in March. So this bill as amended now does still subject LVNs employed by a school district of adhering to whatever the eventual final regulations are approved by the Office of Administrative Law. Now, there are a number of things that may happen, but I will, of course, agree that, and this board has been discussing this for, I don't know, ever since I started here, that yes, LVNs are trained in these procedures. The curriculum is very clear and oftentimes very similar to a respiratory care therapist. And the NCLEX specifically tests on these skills as well. So as I said, BBNPT's position has never been that LVNs should not perform these tasks. But we are forced to work to define, if you will, what the law of the land in terms of this role, this in these functions of the profession, in as much as the Respiratory Care Board is the recognized legal authority on to define what basic respiratory care is. So we continue to work with them on defining this. I think I mentioned earlier that the Respiratory Care Board is looking into future regulatory packages that would essentially carve out for example, home health care, congregate living, residential care facilities, et cetera. Initially, the school district, School Nurses Association had thought to ask for a carve out of their own. And this bill was initially configured to do that. But as I said, we are obliged to follow the law at this point. So it's going to be an ongoing and unfolding story, which I know that we've been very fortunate to have a number of stakeholders and colleagues and partners in the field that have been very actively interested and very vocal in this conversation. So again, we don't know what is going to be the final here. I can only assume that the context of this bill was really to try and underscore and reinforce what is actually just a clarification of existing practice, because it is not practicable for any other model at school level than having the LVNs to provide that student transport and that on-site care.
Madam President, if I may.
Oh.
I support the statement by the executive officer, Ms. Yamaguchi. I also share the concerns of the speaker, but I will say that in one of the committee analyses on SB 389, according to the author, quote, "This bill will simply ensure that regardless of any new laws, LVNs working in the school setting, or in some instances with homeschooled students under the supervision of a credentialed school nurse, will be able to continue providing these critically needed services and ensure that these children continue to receive the care that they need without disruption." So with that assurance, I hope that provides a little more depth.
So is there a motion on the floor?
Well, I'm hopeful that's sufficient to
I-
quell the caller's
I'm sorry.
concerns.
This is the moderator. We have one more raised hand for this item. Are we okay with taking the one more person?
Yes, please.
Okay, Christina Curry, you should be able to unmute.
My name is Christina Curry, and I'm an instructor at Charles A. Jones LVN program. And I just wanted to make sure that I'm clear, that I'm understanding correctly. So the BVNPT, the board is not taking this scope from the LVNs, but it's the respiratory board that's trying to regulate what LVNs can do as far as suctioning. And I just want to make sure too that I understood that LVNs as of now, they can only suction in school settings, but not in long-term care settings. As a 25+ year LVN experience, I've suctioned hundreds of patients. So I'm just trying to be clear, is that scope going to be taken from the LVNs by the respiratory therapy board, not BVNPT? And what can LVNs do to protect that scope?
Certainly.
So basically, my understanding is what this bill aims to do is to put something in place so that any future law that comes around that might impact the scope of practice of LVNs is at the very least does allow VNs to do the suctioning in school settings under the supervision of a credentialed school nurse. So basically, it protects a certain aspect of what an LVN can do. So it's not taking anything away. It's not, it's basically, I don't want to say it's restating a law because the law doesn't specifically state that LVNs can do suctioning, but because it's taught in schools and it's tested on the NCLEX, it's kind of supposed that they can. So, but this protects that ability to do it in certain sections. So at the very least, special needs children in the school setting will be able to have these services performed and, notwithstanding any other laws that might come around that would impact potentially what the scope is. I hope that helps.
And this is the moderator. I see no further raised hands. I return the floor back to you, Madam President.
Oh, I just wish to make a clarification. The limitations are already in statute. Where is it? 3765 in the Business and Professions Code. Essentially, and the reason why I think this needs to be supported regardless, is this bill helps affirm that that protection is there.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas.
I think we need to
Gonzalez.
take a roll call vote though.
Yes.
I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I am also a yes. This motion carries by a vote of 6.
Thank you. The last bill on our agenda today is Senate Bill 470, Open Meeting Act. This is on the Senate floor, unless it moved yesterday. The committee recommends that BVNPT support this bill, and Ms. Yamaguchi will provide a summary for us.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. For those of you who think this bill sounds really, really familiar, it does. It is. Essentially, last year, or year before, the legislature approved some amendments and specifications under the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, which needed to be brought forward and ironed out after COVID, because when the governor's executive order expired, and you'll recall those that we were able to meet via teleconference, not post an individual board member's home address and allow them to, or authorize them to basically invite anybody who wanted to attend into their living room. So the subsequent bill essentially wanted to extend the newer provisions by which we're operating now. Now, SB 470 initially was planned to just remove the sunset date altogether, but there was a good deal of concerns expressed. And so this bill now extends the current Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act laws until January 1, 2030. Madam Chair?
So we would need board action on this to support the bill.
Yes, please.
Do we have a motion? Take it from here.
Do we have a motion and a second to support the SB 470 Open Meeting Act?
I would so move, Madam President.
Thank you.
Let's see more second.
Thank you. Is there any board discussion or questions further? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam Board President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no request for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. I will now do a roll call, establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I also vote yes. That motion is carried by a vote of 6.
Okay, the next Legislation and Regulations Committee will be meeting on 8:30 in the morning on June 13th. Our last meeting was adjourned at 9:30 a.m. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to thank Mr. Weiler and Mr. Gonzalez for the excellent analysis.
Yes. I believe we're moving to 9C. Discussion and possible action to initiate a rulemaking to adopt Title 16, California Code of Regulations 2509.1 and 2569, and amend sections 2537 and 2590 regarding retired licenses. Ms. Yamaguchi.
Actually, let me defer to Council Shields.
Nice.
Christy Shields, Regulations Council again. Good morning. Unfortunately, we're not able to get this item together for the board meeting today. I just wanted to talk to you about the progress we're making, though. We started in January putting this proposal together, and during the review of the proposal, I determined that there needs to be some further amendments to other sections of your regulations. There needs to be more work done. And I've been working diligently with your licensing staff and Ms. Brown, who's been very helpful, your licensing manager. And so the goal would be to bring a completed proposal with additional revisions to the next board meeting. That's our goal. And we think we can meet it this time, because I know you've been waiting for the status for a while. So we appreciate that. But during the review, we also uncovered there were some issues with the authorizing statute, which we'll be discussing in your next agenda item. So any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can we move to C since we're not doing anything with B?
Yes.
Okay. We will move to discussion and possible action to seek a legislative proposal to amend Business and Professions Code sections 2892.8 and 4545.4 regarding retired licenses.
I can start. I will start. Board members, there's a memo with proposed language in your packets to paraphrase briefly. As Council Shields has mentioned, as we've been working on developing the overall package, we continue to find places that need shoring up and need some refinements and expansions. So one thing that we did realize in one of our last meetings was that there are certain flaws in the authorizing legislation, which of course you'll recall was in our sunset bill last year. So what we have before you today is some suggested language. Now, I did want to preface this by the way of saying even though it's real late in the season, it is still possible there may be an omnibus bill available and the staff amenable to including this language the next time it's heard. I'd be happy to answer any real questions. Nope. But I do need a motion to,
We need a motion to support the new language.
I believe, support and forward to the legislature, the appropriate legislative committee.
So, the motions, I guess you could say they are on the top of page 2, that you approve the proposed language and request inclusion in possible omnibus bills, but include the language in possible omnibus bills in this session.
Yes,
So-
so moved, Alita Carpenter.
If you look at, just really quickly, if you look at the language on pages 2 and 3, we just shored up additional authority to ask for payment of all outstanding fees. So we don't want people to come to retirement and just not pay their citation and fines or any other accrued fees they owe you before they just sail off into the sunset
Right.
with a retired license. So you don't have the authority to ask for that. Other boards do. So I noticed that was missing from your legislation. And also the ability to ask for any additional other requirements be met before they retire. So we kind of added that authorizing language here and also shored up some of the fingerprinting requirements. Ms. Butu brought to my attention that we needed to do that. So those were the kind of the main changes that we're asking for in this proposed legislative item.
Thank you for that clarification. We have a motion? So moved. Second?
Rashima Sansone, I second.
Thank you. Any board discussion or questions? Look like it. Any public comment in the room? Seeing none, any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no request for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I also vote yes. That motion is carried by a vote of 6.
Thank you all, and I want to just thank all the board members that are outgoing. I really enjoyed working with all of you, and hope to have great rest of your careers, and maybe see you again sometime in another board, potentially.
All right, we will now move to agenda item 10, enforcement report recommendations and possible actions. Ms. Wood?
Hello, my name is Antoinette Wood. I'm the Enforcement Division Chief. You have my report in your paperwork. Please let me know if you have any questions. Recently, the Enforcement Division presented during the Education Division Directors Forum. During this presentation, it was noted that many of the directors were unfamiliar with some of our precedential decisions. Due to this, the Enforcement Division has created and sent out an educational email for the Education Division, who they were nice enough to send it out for us, in order to ensure that everyone has all the publicly available Enforcement Division information available to them. Did anyone have any questions?
Do I need to call for public comment? Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no request for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. And thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Let's see. Our next section is Investigation Division Report. Ms. Higashi.
No.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good morning. My name is Stacy Higashi. I'm the Supervising Special Investigator for the Investigation Division. I've submitted my report. Is there any questions?
Seeing no questions, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand. We'll give you a moment. All right, I see no request for comment. Madam President, I return the floor back to you.
And thank you, Ms. Higashi, for your report.
Thank you.
We've already done the Enforcement Committee report, so we will move to Agenda Item 11, Psychiatric Technician Ad Hoc Committee Report, Recommendations, and Possible Actions. Ms. Moore.
Hello there. We did have a meeting on March the 24th. I'm gonna do a recap of it. The meeting was called to order at 10:00 a.m. Committee members introduced themselves. Topics of consideration, discussions, and possible actions were by Abraham. The PT survey update, Mr. Hill referred the matter to Dr. McLeod, who provided an update on the occupational analyst for the psychiatric technicians. The analyst has been viewed by over 800 people. Dr. McLeod also noted that the survey regarding the possible name change for PTs is set to be distributed on April 1st, 2025. Ms. Butu mentioned that depending on the survey results, the board will need to complete a statutory change. The PT outreach possible modalities, Mr. Hill informed us that they are currently reaching other states that offer PT licenses and will reach out to additional boards to build alliances and gather new information. Dr. McLeod reported that a meeting with the Department of State Hospitals is forthcoming, as they are very interested in collaborating with the board. Dr. McLeod further shared that state hospitals are in need of PTs and would like them to complete their clinicals in their department. The network of allies contact list updated. Mr. Gonzalez updated us that he has contacted the Board Behavioral Science and the Department of Healthcare Access the information, and he plans to reach out to the Department of Corrections and Board of Psychology. Invite a community college PT program directors. Dr. Thomas shared that she met with directors and that several community colleges are interested in participating in the pilot program. She explained students would obtain a dual license by adding just 2 semesters to their curriculum. Dr. Thomas also mentioned that a few of her programs will have new directors joining soon, and she hopes that they will be interested in the new program. Ms. Butu inquired about what the second license would entail, and Dr. Thomas said that the Education Division is considering a dual vocational nurse and PT license. Dr. McLeod provided additional information about the mental health component associated with the dual license, indicating that it would allow holders to perform some duties in both roles, potentially making it valuable credential. The director's forum, an update on the director's forum was held on May the 9th, I believe. Dr. Fairchild reported that the director forum is underway. And as I said, there was an update on that. So they did have the director's forum on I want to say May the 7th. CAP board meetings, myself updated that I was trying to reach out to several contacts. Prior, I was not successful, but Eric, CAP president, did reach out to me and he had some concerns. For our next meeting, I am hoping that CAP will be a part of our meeting. I will be doing an invite to Eric Soto and to Kobe Kobe Pizzotti. Meeting recap Board of Behavioral Science. Mr. Gonzalez reported on meeting with the Board of Behavioral Sciences discussing shared responsibilities in mental health care, outreach efforts, and shared concerns regarding licenses. Mr. Gonzalez emphasized the need for both boards and to establish a clear way to communicate their roles to the public. Additionally, Mr. Gonzalez noted that both boards will collaborate on outreach programs aimed at high schools and community college students. Mr. Gonzalez also mentioned that the California Department of Health Care Access and Information is actively working to update the public and streamline access to information. What's next, Ms. Hamaguchi? Ms. Hamaguchi reported that the report will undergo another sunset review in 2028. Ms. Hamaguchi emphasized that this provides a valuable 2-year period for building and preparing. Ms. Hamaguchi believes that the Directors Forum will be an excellent starting point for discussion with additional stakeholders, allowing the board to gradually access what needs to be completed each year. Mr. Hill suggested that the board create a collective timeline. Mr. Hill inquired whether this would be organized as a subcommittee or if the individual would be assigned to oversee the task. Additionally, Mr. Hill proposed that the board define specific goals and gradually achieve the vision of what the psychiatric technician role should be ultimately become. Suggestions for future agenda. Ms. Hamaguchi suggested that external stakeholders be invited to attend committee meetings. Additionally, Ms. Hamaguchi recorded that Mr. Hill and myself attended a few of CAP's meetings. The next scheduled psychiatric ad hoc meeting will be June 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. And our meeting was adjourned. Any questions?
For public comment. Thank you for that report. We will now move to agenda item 12, public comment on items not on the agenda. Please note, the board may not discuss or take any action on any item raised during this public comment section, except to decide whether to place the matter on the agenda of a future meeting. We are now open for public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Madam President. If any member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon next to your name or pressing *3 if you called in. We'll give you a moment. All right, we do have a raised hand from call-in user number 3. Call-in user number 3, if you see a prompt to unmute, go ahead and click on it. All right, I believe it's, there you go, you've got it. You're unmuted.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Todd Bronstein, and I'm here before you today speaking only on behalf of myself and no other group, organization, or employer. I am Also a second generation psychiatric technician. My dad was a longtime psych tech and taught theory and clinical at one of our local schools in Southern California. Well, I am hearing that the BVMPT is considering action to eliminate psychiatric technicians from being able to teach theory in a psychiatric technician program. As this continues to be under consideration, I wanted to express my thoughts, and I would be against this proposal for the following reasons, but not limited to just these statements. I would not want to limit any program's option to hire a candidate that best meets their needs. My guess is that some of the programs even struggle at times to have enough instructors for their class sizes or for their program. Psychiatric technicians have taught theory for decades, and without data to the contrary, I would think that their experience in the field helps to blend the theory into the clinical practice, supporting a deeper understanding for the student and mastery of the subject. I would like to conclude my comments with the point that continuing to allow PTs to teach theory encourages professional growth and development beyond graduation and that first job. It further recognizes the value of vocational education and expertise. It helps to reduce the risk of marginalizing psychiatric technicians as a crucial part of the mental health workforce. And with that, I would like to say thank you and congratulate Ken Maxley and John Durking on their many years of dedicated service to the public through their activities on this board.
And thank you for your comments. Are there further comments?
This is the moderator. I don't see any further comments, so I return the floor back to you.
Thank you so much. We will move to agenda item 13, suggestions for future agenda items. From the board? Seeing none, we will move to agenda item 14, closed session. The board will now convene in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 1126, Division A1, to deliberate and vote on disciplinary matters. The board will also convene in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 11126, Subdivision E, to receive advice from legal counsel on pending litigation. Can I have a motion to retire to closed session and not reconvene in open session? The meeting will adjourn at the completion of closed session, and a second.
I would so move, Madam President. May
Thank
I
you.
also address the body here present?
Absolutely.
Very bittersweet.
Yes.
You know, just about half my adult life has been spent in the company of cherished colleagues, dedicated staff, so my message is press on and thank you.
Your service was so valuable to this organization. I don't think there's a person here who could really put it into words. We appreciate you so much. All right. Do we have a second?
Second,
Thank
let's see
you.
more.
Got to get back to it.
Did we take a quick break before going into closed session?
Yes, we still have to vote though, quickly. And then we can take a quick break. All right. We're voting on whether we're just going to close at the end of the, we'll adjourn at the end of closed session. Ms. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Durking,
Yes.
Ms. Guzman,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sanson.
Yes.
I also vote yes. That carries by 6. We will go to closed session, and yes, you may have a quick break.
Thank you.
You.